morning. I'm so excited to welcome you this beautiful Friday morning. My name is Jen Espinosa-Goswami, and I am introducing to you this morning the Brilliant Chic LaToya Bell. Hi, LaToya.
Hey.
She will be sharing with us specific tips and strategies on how we can power up our presence. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that in just a moment. But if you're joining us live, don't forget to say hi to us in the comments. I will be moderating comments and we'll say hi back to you. You'll notice we're using StreamYard. So if you're not familiar with StreamYard, all you have to do is click the link to give them permission to share your name so I can say hi to you by name and we can welcome you to this live stream. If you're catching us towards the tail end of this live stream, no problems. You can still watch the replay. It will be available for you for the rest of the weekend. So I will be taking down this replay on Monday and it will go away forever. So you won't have access to it after that point. But if you are watching the replay, make sure to comment with hashtag replay. And let LaToya know your questions. She's welcome. She's happy to answer any questions you may have in terms of your personal presence and how you can show up more powerfully wherever you show up, whether it's in your personal or professional lives. Now, a little bit about me. My name is Jen Espinosa-Goswami, and I'm a holistic health coach and speaker trainer. I own this page here at Weightless, and I like to help people show up more confidently on camera in whatever capacity that works for them. Sometimes it has to do with just passion projects, or sometimes that's part of their online business. So welcome to our page. Now, LaToya, I would love to give you a proper introduction. Are we ready to get into this?
Let's do it.
Awesome. So I'm so excited to introduce to you LaToya Bell. She's a personal brand strategist, a style confidence coach, and the founder of Brilliant Chic. She loves to equip women professionals and emerging leaders to align their outer style with their inner brilliance. One of her favorite hobbies is showing other women ways to look great without a lot of effort. I know that's something I need to know more about. She's happily married to her best friend, Michael, and enjoys hanging out with him, family, and friends for game nights. So welcome, LaToya.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, one thing that struck me right away is your beautiful necklace. What is the inspiration for this necklace?
For me, especially with going to the virtual space, I learned that necklaces that are kind of small at the top, and then they have the big features down below the screen, it doesn't do anything. So I just turned to a lot of just bigger statement necklaces. And I like this one because it's lightweight. And it's neutral colors and it kind of just goes with everything, but it adds a pop, right? So you'll notice most of the time I have on some sort of statement necklace or statement earrings. So I kept my earrings kind of simple today just because I want the necklace to be the thing. So.
Yeah, and I do notice that about you, having seen you, the work you do in the online space is you usually have a very, what I would call a chunky necklace, and that's just part of your style. So I'd love to dive more into statement pieces because that's especially effective in online visibility, as I'm sure you're very aware. Yeah. But before we jump into statement pieces, I'd love to learn more about you, LaToya, and why you do the work you do. So just from our experiences working together in the past, it sounds like that you have a full-time job. Is that correct?
I do. I actually do.
What kind of work do you do?
So I'm a continuous improvement analyst. And so I work with different business areas to help them figure out ways to be more efficient with their resources, eliminate waste within their processes, and navigate change. And I also do training around that. So I facilitate those workshops to help the teams come together and really harness their collective genius in an organized way. Like, I don't come up with any solutions. The answers are at the table, I believe. And so I just help them be able to figure out what the answer should be for them. And so great standardized tools to do that. And then I also bring a lot of that into my work that I do as a style confidence coach and personal brand strategist, because it's like, really, the answers are inside of you. Let's just figure out what those are. So I get to facilitate those experiences to help people understand that individually.
I love that. I had no idea that you did continuous improvement. It's very
Yeah.
similar to what I used to do in corporate. I was a quality control analyst. So I
Oh,
helped people
yeah,
with the processes and
yeah,
training and human error versus technical error. And so that's
yeah.
really interesting that we have that in common.
Yep. I
And
actually
you're,
started out food science. My undergrad is in food science.
oh, how cool is that?
I started out in food quality. So, and then I ended up really liking the continuous improvement space, which is an extension of quality. So that's how I moved into that. So,
Fabulous. Well, it's hard to do the full-time work while also building your business on the side. So I'm
yeah.
just curious, what inspired you to create Brilliant Chic?
So I was at a networking meeting and I was and am still part of a direct sales company that does skincare and makeup. And so I was at a meeting and a lady walked up to me afterwards and said, I need you to help me with my style. And I'm like, hey, so I don't know if you understand, but I do like skincare and makeup, like face, you know? And she's like, yeah, none of that. Like she wasn't hearing me. She's like, I need you to help me with my style. And I was like, okay. And it wasn't that people hadn't asked me to go shopping with them before. Like that was not a strange concept to me. Um, I'd gone shopping with friends. I'd done that before I worked in retail. So I liked doing that piece, but she wasn't asking me to go shopping. She said, help her with her style. And
Mm.
long story short, we ended up meeting at a store. And I just kind of, because she didn't know what size she wore. So I just kind of guessed, from my experience, like, okay, I think she's here. So let's go here. So I met her at a specific store. And then I was like, well, what colors do you like? And she's like, I don't know. And I was like, well, what do you want to like wear? Like, what do you think you want to be able to look for? And she was like, listen, what you don't understand is that every time I go into a dressing room, I leave crying because I can't find anything to wear. She had gained weight. She was very embarrassed about her body and just really had felt like defeated by the process of creating a style. And now here she was, a new business owner who needed to look the part and saw something in me that felt like I could help her with that. And she literally went from being like this slumped over little wilted flower to like turning and twirling by the time we got done in the dressing room. And that was such a powerful transformation for me to witness that when we got done, she said, you have to do this. There are more people like me. You've got to help us. And I was like, I felt something on the inside just leap inside of me, like, yes, do this. And so I researched image consultant certification programs. I found one called Fashion Meets Faith. So it not only talks about the outer style, but it talks about who you are from the inside out and being able to embrace how God made you and then reflect that on the outside. And so that was the beginning of my journey. And that's how Brilliant Chic was born, was based on my conversation with that lady that turned into an appointment that turned into a commission, basically. So I've been doing it ever since, 5 years this year. So
Well, congratulations on your work anniversary. And I love that you shared that you were just approached by someone who knew you, had seen what you were doing, saw how you were showing up in your professional life, and thought that you had something that she needed.
yeah.
And what a beautiful transformation.
That day. I had just met her that day. So
Oh, wow, that's fabulous.
that's why I was like,
And that's
hey, I do this. And she's like, doesn't matter. I need you to help me. And I'm like, okay.
well, I know one of the things that I've always struggled with personally, having been obese my entire life, is that experience in the fitting room. You go there, you try on 25 different things, and depending on what brand you're choosing or what style you're choosing, it can be a big downer at the end of the day, especially if you have no strategy as to what you're pulling and putting into that fitting room. So I love that you shared how she felt after that experience with you, because when you do it the right way with the right strategy and the right intention, you have a totally different experience than if you just randomly choose things.
So true. It's so true. The strategy is the key. And that's where a lot of times people get so frustrated because you're left to the whims of whatever the retailer chooses to show you. And it's like, well, it could or could not be right for you. The model may or may not have your body type. They could have used a bunch of pins in the picture. And so you're going off of what you think is an image of what's right. And it's like not even right for you, but you don't understand you. And so it's hard to build, like you said, a strategy around that because you're not clear on who you are. all you know is what the retailers are telling you, and you're not even sure what they're saying, and so things like, the mannequins, sales, the model, a friend who's wearing an outfit that we think is cool, all those external things really create the confusion that leads to that frustration and even disappointment, and decreased self-confidence, really, when we don't know who we are and how we want to show up. Those are the main things.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing all that, because it's true. We hear the stories and we experience it ourselves, especially as women, all the images that are thrown at us in terms of what makes a beautiful woman or what makes a professional woman. And you're right. Those are messages that are thrown at us. It may not apply to us. It may not be something that we should listen to, but it's difficult to tune that noise out sometimes because it's so overwhelming in terms of the images that surround us. Before we jump into fashion faux pas, because I love talking about that, but what do you define as presence? Because we're talking about presence today, how to power yourself with your presence. So what does presence mean to you?
Presence to me is your whole self, right? Like, it is your whole, like, who you are at the end of the day. Like, what is the mark you leave? What is the transformation you create? What is the effect of your being in a space, right? And, just even understanding that, it's like, what is the effect I have on people? Or what is the effect I have in certain environments? Like, when there are times where I just want to be really reflective and quiet in meetings, and people go, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "I'm fine." But they're used to me having a certain sort of presence in that space, right? And I'm like, "No, I'm really just listening," but you get known for the effect that you have, your reputation, your brand, however you want to look at it. But it's all around that. Yeah. Who are you and how do you show up? And, what are you known for, and how do you use that to create whatever transformation or solution you're called to provide? So that's where, sometimes I just have to form word people like, "Hey, I'm just here to listen," because they want me to speak. They want me to infuse the environment with something. Confidence is usually what people are looking for. And it's like, I can be confident and be quiet. So that's where I, then try and educate people. There's multiple facets to how you show up. It's not just one note, so.
Interesting. Yeah. And I love the idea of quiet confidence, because that's something that I also work with people on. Is confidence shows up in many different ways. And, your version of confidence or my version of confidence doesn't necessarily have to translate to other people. There's other ways to express that.
Yeah.
If you were going to give yourself an adjective in terms of your presence today, what word would come to mind?
I think for today, the first word that came was enthusiasm. And just meaning that there's an energy, but there's also like a passion. It's like a focused passion, right? So it's like being very much here, very much excited about being able to share these ideas and concepts with people, and being able to connect with you, right? So it's like, okay, I'm here, and I get to, and it's Friday, so kind of feeling kind of chill, but at the same time, absolutely enthused. Would be my main piece.
Yeah, it's the weekend. Who's not excited about that, right? And I'm happy that you're present with us today, because that is a gift. We're in a distracted world where presence is a different thing, showing up, connecting, we have the ability to do that in a virtual world. Speaking of virtual world, we've just come out of a pandemic. We're still, some parts of the country and other parts of the world are still shelter in place and not able to get out a little bit. So I think a lot of us have become a little sloppy in our personal habits in terms of how we dress, whether we wear makeup, whether we wear pants that day, and whether we show up on camera. So what is something you've been noticing in terms of how the pandemic has affected what our presence comes across like?
So true. And I think, like we were talking about at the top, just about, wearing things that are going to help you be seen. It's really easy to become invisible. And even some people are camera shy because, again, the images out there make it seem like you have to be so perfect or so this or that, right? And it's not any of that. It's about you being willing to show up for your people, and be in the space with them. That's the first and foremost thing, is your commitment to show up. After that, is it in a way that's consistent with how you want to be known? And so I always talk with people like, well, what does your brand require of you? Because sometimes, depending on your style or your personality or your essence, you may not have to do like what I do. Like, I don't expect everybody to walk around with gigantic necklaces on, but I do expect that you're seen, that your people can recognize you, that they do understand what you're about, and, that you are being willing to have the attention you would have in person. I mean, because that's the thing. It's like, I think the translation from in person to online has been tough, because it's like, it's recorded. Yes. It can get shared, so it seems like the stakes are higher, but the reality is, what are the stakes if you don't show up? Right. So it's like, what are you missing out on by hiding behind the screen or hiding behind your product? Because I have, some clients, they sell physical products. And so it's like, it's about their product, and they're putting the product up, but they're not putting themselves up, and people don't want the stuff. There's plenty of things to experience online. They want the person, they want the connection, they want the engagement. And so I think that's one of the things I've noticed, is just being willing to show up. And even if it's imperfectly, I mean, I've done lives in my group with no makeup. I'm in a t-shirt, it's not my norm, but like, even with that, I still have consistency in who I am. Right. And so it's like, well, the type of t-shirt is going to be cute. It's going to have probably a power statement on it. My hair is going to be kind of done, at least, so it's like, at least understand, like, if that's the vibe you want to convey, cool. Now, would I do a training like that? Absolutely not, because that's not part of my brand. I have clients, friends, mastermind group, colleagues who, that is their brand, is a t-shirt. Right. So they rock it, but they rock it really well, Yeah. So it's just, again, being consistent with what you believe is true to who you are. And also is going to catch the eye of your people that you're called to. I literally was on a live one time, and a lady stopped and said, I was scrolling through my newsfeed and I just had to stop because I saw you, and she's like, you look amazing. And then she stayed for the conversation. Right. Because it's like, but that's what you want, is, do you have a scroll stopping style? Like, I don't care what you wear. Is it enough to stop the scroll and get someone to connect with you in a way? When they used to say you have 7 seconds to make a first impression, not online. It's a matter of clicks. I don't even know. I think it's nanoseconds, moments, a blink, So you want to make sure that you're, investing in yourself in a way that's going to help people be able to connect with you visually first, because that's what they see, is the visual, and then that they're able to hear your content and receive your message.
Interesting. And that's a good point that you bring up, especially stopping the scroll is the ultimate when you have an online brand.
Yeah.
How do you get people's attention? And some people, play up their entertainment factor online. I do that sometimes. That's just part of my brand and part of my excitement and how I show up. But I don't always have a pretty image, because that's not part of my brand. So it's interesting that you say that it doesn't matter how you get people to stop the scroll, but there has to be something in it for them, something interesting, something that catches their eye. Yes. And you can build that through a variety of ways, but it's important that you understand your impact when people are looking at you. Yes,
your impact, because again, it's not about the thing. It's like, I love that you said like the entertainment factor, because it's like, it's still you, right? It's like, oh, she's interesting, or this is really, I'm really connecting with her on this part. That is still very much you. It's just, you're connected to it in a way that brings people in. And that's really important. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I wanted to go back to the fashion faux pas thing. I kind of play around with fashion in terms of, I like to watch Project Runway and things like that. I like to watch Fashion Week kinds of things, but I don't consider myself like a style person, like a person who's with the current styles or anything like that. And I know that one of the services you offer with your clients is to help them kind of get like a capsule wardrobe, or get the core pieces of their wardrobe that can help them show up as who they really are. What are some of the fashion faux pas you notice in your clients, or the biggest mistakes that they do in their current wardrobes?
So the first thing is this: not recognizing the good parts about their body. Because often, especially when I was working in retail, women would come out of the dressing room and they'd be like holding their stomachs. And they're like, well, this is cute except for this. And I'm like, are you going to walk around like that holding your stomach? And they're like, well, no. I'm like, well, stop it. You know, like, put it out. So we magnify the challenge areas too much, things that we feel self-conscious about. And we all have things that are less than perfect. Even the models do. They just Photoshop in some cases. And I love the stores that have stopped Photoshopping and show you the actual models. But it's like, if you have a challenge area, everyone has something that they can play up. So typically, I have a lot of clients who have the fuller middle, kind of that apple frame, right? Typically have shapely legs and nice arms. Why not play that up? Leave your middle alone. Like, so that's, because then what happens is like, well, if I have a big middle, that means I have to cover all of me. Right. It's like, and then you just look like a big, like, blobby tent because you're not playing up your best features. You've got nice arms probably, or you've got really shapely legs. Wear something a little shorter. Like, so that's like one example, is like not being aware of their body type and understanding that you have benefits. Because the other thing, especially with plus size, I can go on a whole rant about this, but I won't, is that plus size is a size range. It is not a shape. And to think that just because it's in your size, it fits your shape is what gets some people in trouble. It's like, yeah, it could be your size, or it could be that it feels small on you because of the cut, because the cut's not designed for your shape. Doesn't mean that the number's wrong, and sometimes it is, because the fashion industry is fickle. So that's the first thing. The other thing is color. That's the other one that I really, I wish people would do more with color for themselves, because we get into these safety ruts that actually are making us blend in with other people. And it's like understanding what colors really make you shine, especially online. Like, I did more of a monochromatic neutral with the navy blue and the teal today, but that's because I knew I was going to wear this bling, right? But, like if I would have worn yellow with this, it'd have been like, okay, but it's like knowing your colors, knowing your best neutrals, like it's ways to keep it really simple. And that's that essence of that capsule wardrobe, is like, just play with a few colors. Sometimes we have too many colors in our wardrobe and they don't go together and they don't really do anything for us. But again, it was on the rack at the store that we chose to stop at. But it may not be the best thing for you. And notice that stores sometimes cater to certain color palettes. Like, I know some stores cater to like pastels, and I can't wear pastels very well. As well as I wear like vibrant jewel tones, but some stores just don't go there, so it's understanding where to shop based on what you need for you. And so color is the other one.
Interesting. Well, I love what you said about the shape, and plus size is not a size. It can be a cut too. It can be, you can be like the same size as someone else or a different size because of how your body is shaped.
Yeah.
That's a huge point to make, especially if people feel down about whatever their current numerical size is. It doesn't indicate like you're bigger or smaller or anything like that. It just indicates the style, the cut, and it's just finding the right cut for your particular shape.
Exactly.
So I think that's a really important thing. And then the color. So that's really interesting because, as a business owner, I have certain colors in my business. They're orange and blue and gray and black. But I did a recent photo shoot recently, and most people said they preferred my photo that had like a tangerine / kind of orangey shirt on me.
Yes.
And I don't typically wear that color because it's a color that sometimes my face is a little bit red. So sometimes it brings out the redness in my face. But it was really interesting because I had been gravitating towards purples and black and things like that are more neutral. Well, purple's not neutral. But it's interesting how the different colors you wear can have a different impact on how people view you and how your face pops, especially online.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's where one of the, I've worked with my clients to talk about their colors, like what works best for them. And then being able to think about their brand colors. Like, they don't have to wear their brand colors, but what looks good on you that also works for your brand, because you want them to flow. Right. So like you said, you have a color palette, but it's like when I'm out and about, I don't have to go do a photo shoot. But like if I'm hanging out with friends and I just want to snap a quick picture and post it, it's not going to look crazy because my colors that I tend to wear are in line with my brand, even if they're not my exact brand colors. Right. But then I also talk with them about what colors mean. So what does a purple mean compared to a tangerine? Because that can also be something that conveys a message, right? So like I had someone who was like, well, I want to be like joyful and relatable and fun. But she chose green, red, black, and gold. So we had to have some conversations.
And I'm sure there's some color psychology that goes into that.
Yes,
I actually teach about color psychology. Yeah. So it's such an important thing to be aware of.
Yeah. So we definitely went into color psychology. Like, you are not going to convey this message with these colors. You're just not. Or it's going to be hard. Like, you're going to make a leap over these colors to say what you need to say. If you're wearing like black and gold, talking about you're joyful, is it going to be gold confetti? Like, like, how are we going to do this? So then we just had to like think about maybe pink and maybe, orange. But she's like, well, I don't look good in orange. And I'm like, okay, well, then let's think about, a different type of, like, maybe a red, like we just had to play with it a little bit, because the combination she had was very harsh, very edgy, and she wasn't looking for edgy. I'm like, if you're looking for edgy, you nailed it, but if you're not going for edgy, if you want fun, relatable, and joyful, that's going to be a hard sell, with the colors and colors do speak profoundly. So yeah, that's one of my favorite things to do.
Absolutely. And that's why I help people too, like when it comes to being, if you're presenting or speaking, it's important to know the color in your background. Yes. Like if you're on a stage and there's a red curtain behind you, that impacts what you're going to be wearing to pop from that red background. Or if it's a white background, maybe use a more colorful thing to stand out. And that's one thing. It's a very small detail, but it can make a difference in how your audience perceives you. So those are fun things to talk about. I could talk about color psychology all day. It's so fun to get into that. But I do want to do, because we are in summer right now, it's been really hot here in Minnesota. I know the Pacific Northwest recently had 100+ temperatures. So, it's hot and we're probably thinking, I need to cool down. I need to go to the beach. I need to go to the pool. Swimsuit season. What would you recommend for people who are like, I hate swimsuit shopping. It's the worst time of the year. I hate it. I dread it. Like, what suggestions do you have to make that process easier?
First of all, just decide to own it. Just own it. You don't want to be hot. Like I did a YouTube session with someone last year, and I was like, you want to be hot, not hot. Like, because sometimes we do things in the summer, especially to try and cover or obscure, but we are actually making ourselves miserable, and we look hot. We look uncomfortable. We actually draw more attention by all the things we're trying to do to our bodies. Like, just be cool. Just own it. Right. Someone's always going to have something to say. Like, it's not even about that. Like, what do you feel comfortable in? Some suggestions I have are know your body type, because different swimsuits work better on different body types. In terms of like, again, like, is it the middle? Is it I'll use the fruits. Are you more of a strawberry with the broader top and narrower bottom? Are you more of a pear with the narrower top and wider bottom? Are you more of hourglassy? Like, just understand your body shape, because that's going to make a difference in the type of swimsuit that's going to work best for you. If you know that you are fuller chested, like a D cup or higher, I recommend getting a swimsuit with a bra built in. Because that's just going to make you feel more put together and not like things are just kind of sloshing around. I also recommend 2 pieces, just because they're easier if you have to go to the bathroom. and
all very important considerations.
I'm like, let's be practical here. If you have to go to the bathroom with a wet swimsuit on, that is the worst. When you have, it like balls up and then you have to like pull it back on. Like, that's just terrible. Know what kind of things you're going to be doing in your swimsuit, because like the swimsuit I wear for water aerobics is not the swimsuit I would wear on the beach. Because for water aerobics, if I wear the one that has the flouncy skirty thing, it just floats the whole time. So that one I wear more of like and there's some really nice ones out there now. Like, they look like biker shorts, or even capris I've seen, like swim capris. And so it's like, wear something that's a little sleeker because you're in the water moving and you don't need all that fabric jostling you. And then I've even seen some, if you are more conscious about your upper arms, some that kind of go off the shoulder and have like a ruffle or something here to camouflage if that's important to you. But again, knowing your body shape makes a big difference in how you choose. Yeah, though, because it really just varies depending on body type to me. And then, like I said, what are the practical uses you're going to have for it? And make sure that it's going to support you and what you want to do. If you're laying out, because I've had this happen too, you're laying out, but then you have all these straps and fabric, you're going to end up with lines everywhere the fabric. Right? So it's like, again, if you're doing it because you want to get a little bronzy this summer, then maybe less fabric, or have a way to pull up the little skirty thing or move the sleeves, because it's just going to make lines. And
that's a good point. It reminds me, my daughter, she's a teenager, but she got this really cute swimsuit. It was a higher neck swimsuit, but it had mesh down to her chest area. And she got like a tan line through the mesh, and then she had a different pattern on the bottom that was kind of like hole pattern. And she got weird patterning on her legs from the sun, because she likes the sunshine, so she spends all the time in the sun. And I was just laughing at her because of the cut of her swimsuit. It just made this really interesting tan line for the rest of the year that she was dealing with, because we don't do tanning in my house, but only summertime tanning. And it was just so funny. But people don't think about that. They're like, it's cute, it's strappy, it's interesting, but like, can you remove it when you need to? Yeah. Does it make a weird tan line or burn line if you burn like I do?
Yeah, so that's what it is. I mean, at the end of the day, all of this is just strategy, right? It's like, don't just go in there and go, oh, I need a swimsuit, and start combing through. It's like, what are you looking for? What do you need to do with it? What works for your body? And then color, I think, is another fun thing to do, because if you get one in a great color that works for you, you don't need to wear a black swimsuit. You don't need to. Black is not.
You don't have to wear solid swimsuits. What?
And actually, patterns can help minimize appearance of things too. So I'm a big proponent of a good pattern, or some diagonals. Those always work well for people too. So yeah, you don't have to wear a black swimsuit. Like, be free. Like, I have a black swimsuit, but it's because it's sexy. So it's got like tassels and things on it. Yeah. So,
sounds fun.
It's gorgeous. I love it. But it just happened to be black. But, I was not looking for a black swimsuit. It's just that this one, it has some pops of color through the straps and things, and the tassels are different colors. But yeah, you don't need to do that. Don't do that.
No. Yeah. Shine with your own style, right? It doesn't have to be solid or droopy or matronly or whatever the terminology may be there. I'm thinking, when you work with clients, LaToya, you help them through what you called your Powerhouse image framework. Can you give us the kind of Cliff's Notes version of what that means?
That means, so we talk about Powerhouse image. It started off because there was this concept of executive presence. And people were like, I don't want to do executive presence. And I was like, well, leadership presence. And they're like, yeah. And I was like, well, what is it that I'm known for? It's like, so the concept of Powerhouse just came from that, because it's like, well, Brilliant Chic is about letting your light shine through you, right? And so I was like, okay, power. So it's like your power source, right? So it's like, that's how the word Powerhouse came about. And then the presence part, again, was like, not this idea of executive presence where it's like you're trying to subscribe to a certain set of standards that executives typically have to work into. But it's more about, who are you? So it's not an external focus, it's an internal focus. And being able to say, what is it that comprises your image, which informs your style? So image is about, who are you? What are your skills? What are your aspirations? Who are the people you serve? How do you want to be able to serve them? And really make sure that that's all displayed through your style. Because, you could have, like, two people could have the same personality, but depending on how they're executing their assignments, they need to dress differently. Like, if you're somebody that's like out working with kids, I'm not going to put you in the same thing as somebody who's like a concierge, Like they're going to wear two different, well, concierge might wear uniforms. So that's probably a bad example, but somebody who works in the office, you know, like I'm not going to put the kid worker and the office person in the same outfits or style, even though they may have the same personalities, because there's different aspects of their goals, their dreams, how they want to show up, how they perceive themselves that needs to be reflected in that, on top of the fact of what they do. So again, that's why you can't just makes blanket statements about what people should wear. That's too small. It's too narrow.
Yeah. And I love that you support people in all walks of life. So sometimes you have the people who only work with business owners, or the people who only work with leaders or executives, but you kind of can help anyone with their style and their image and how they show up and their presence. So I think that's a unique part about the services you offer. Yep. Now, you mentioned before we got started with this interview, you and I behind the scenes, that you have a free gift called the Ready to Shine online resource. Can you tell us a little bit more about who this is for and what it helps us with?
Yeah, so this is a guide that'll basically, it's like a little checklist to think about when you're going online. Different ways that you want to consider, like what you're wearing, like we were talking about backgrounds or different pieces of just making sure you're ready to show up in a way that's authentic to you online. So it does have some points, like a style points section where it's like, okay, make sure that you at least have, you know, these kinds of things on so that you can like feel confident in how you show up. And yeah, and then it just gives some other tips about online presence. And so if anybody wants that, I think it would be easiest if they just put like a star in the comments and I can message them with that, like a star. Because let's do it that way. That'll be the easiest.
Okay, so just to reiterate, folks, if you just caught us here, LaToya is sharing her free Ready to Shine online checklist. And to access that free gift, put a star in the comments below on the replay, and she will connect with you to get that free guide. I'm happy to connect you as well. If she's not, I can tag her so she sees that information. But this is something that all of us can benefit from, because how you show up is really important, whether you're trying to stop the scroll on Facebook or you're just trying to show up in a meeting situation and not be invisible or behind the scenes, because you have a voice and you have a presence, and your presence is part of that voice.
Yes.
So don't forget to grab the Ready to Shine online, put a star in the comments below the replay here. Again, just to reiterate, if you're just joining us, this replay will be available throughout the rest of this weekend. Will come down on Monday. So you have time to grab this guide, but make sure you put a star in the comments. LaToya, we're just about the end of today's interview. Is there something you would like to share or leave our audience with today in terms of their presence?
Yeah, what I would just say, there's only one you, and be the best you. Anything else is playing small, and it's not serving the world. Like you have an opportunity to explore that and step into it. And it may not be perfect, but be perfectly you. Like, just be perfectly you. I just want to encourage everybody to do that. And if you want some help with that, feel free to reach out. Like I said, put it in the comments, or you can message me, but I would love to be able to help you explore that some more.
Perfect. Be the best you is the best advice I could hear from anybody. Folks, LaToya is the real deal. I have done her workshops in the past, and she has great information. So feel free to connect with her. I will be putting her social media links below this video so you can connect with her on your favorite platform of choice, whether that's here on Facebook or otherwise. She has many different ways to connect. And don't forget to grab your Ready to Shine online guide. Thank you so much, LaToya, for joining us this morning.
Thank you. This has been fun. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Don't forget to join me next month. I feature monthly guest experts every month. And our next guest expert is Janelle of Energy Corporate Yoga and Fitness. She's going to be doing a chair yoga session for us on August 11th at 10 a.m. Central Time. So if you're like a yogi, but you're like, I just want to do something easy for my chair so I don't get a sweat going on or anything, she will help us with an interactive session. So don't forget to join us. Like my page if you have not already, and feel free to click share on this video. If you have found value in the content that LaToya shared with us today, please share it with your community and your friends so we can all show up more powerfully in our presence online and off. Thank you so much again, LaToya.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.